2021 wasn't satisfied until it gave us the last sucker punch by taking Betty White. I'm afraid for 2022. Like, I really wanted to come in here and act like I got some sense, but I sent that tweet days before. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast. It's the I Refuse podcast, and we are back. We took a little sabbatical, went on vacation for almost a week and a half. Do this thing where we go out of state, go to the beach, get like a little Airbnb, and stay to ourselves, away from people. Like, I really advise y'all, to break up the monotony, to go to the beach during off season. It's not that cold, climate control is what it's going to be. Like, I think long gone are the days where we're getting like 30s and 40s in December and November. It was actually 60 in Maryland and Virginia while we were away. So it was like 40 or 50 degrees out there. Not too bad. Wasn't a whole lot of people. And we were on the second floor. We were in the second floor unit, which means we're away from people, but we can still people watch, right? And we're right close to the beach. Not a whole lot of craziness. But I gotta level with y'all. During this whole Panasonic, like, I do not play about personal space, but even more, like, I almost damn near busted my ankle trying to walk away from this lady. Like, we were crossing the street from the restaurant, and we were headed back to the spot. And as we're about to get close to the corner, there's like a gaggle of white people that come from the opposite direction. And it's almost like the Avenue, where, they want to make it real nice and pretty. It's not just the sidewalk and there's a lot of room. It's like the buildings, the sidewalk, and then like individual plots for the trees. So there really isn't a whole lot of room between me and the man that I'm with to like navigate around these people. He has his mask on. I do not. So as we're walking, they start to spread out. And then on top of that, the lady decides to not like walk during, across the main part of the sidewalk, but like make her way towards the tree where I am. And I'm like, okay. Then she wants to walk diagonal. Not straight, but diagonal. I guess that car was right behind me. Do you know, I almost broke my fucking ankle trying to get away from this lady. I don't play that. Like, it's already world renowned, allegedly, that some of y'all don't bathe on a regular basis. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of y'all don't even brush. And I'm not talking just the hair, but like, inside the mouth. Like, the lack of consideration. Well, the lack of awareness is another thing, and then the lack of rhythm, they're kind of neck and neck. But for you to be out in public, and we all know that there's an active Panasonic happening, for you to see me, you can't miss me. I done gained some weight. For you to see me, see other people, and not give a buffer between us and the personal space. But the moment you see me, you start to make a change in direction. Like, I'm at a point right now to where I'm like literally yelling at people. We were at the bar a couple weeks ago. Actually, the week before Christmas, I believe. Go to our usual spot on a Wednesday. They have 2 stories, 2 levels. The first floor is always pretty crazy, you know, the restaurant area and the bar and everything. So we went upstairs where it's a little bit more loungy, thinking we had a reprieve. We weren't even at the bar upstairs like 10 or 15 minutes before all these middle aged white men, again, unmasked. There was like one guy that looked like he just rolled out of bed and put on whatever was clean and fit. Your prerogative. They make their way over to the little lounge area over here, like by the window. And again, like with this Panasonic, people are just oblivious. And it just boggles my mind that like people are not changing habits or at least changing their attitude as to, consideration for other people. At the bar, one of them, after the waitress had just left that area, decides to walk behind us to go to the bar. Now, mind you, that's less than 6 feet between where we're sitting and the wall. Older white people, it's like, you can wait. You can wait. And it wasn't about anything relevant, it wasn't anything pressing or urgent. But this epidemic of just like people are really more oblivious and just more careless. So, we still keep our protocols. We still keep, the mask on when we're sitting at the dinner table. We keep the mask on when we go into the restaurant or into a supermarket. And we only take it off after we sat down. We do the rapid test thing before we travel and after we get back. The night of, and then like 2 or 3 days after, just to be on the safe side. But I refuse. Like I may have said this on streaming. Like I refuse to let it work me up because I think the stress and the panic is more detrimental. Like if you know that you're in the house all the time, you're not around people, you're not careless, you're careful, and you're responsible. I don't need like the additional stress being worked up, like from what you constantly talking about, constantly bringing it up. Like it, we got the better mask, the N95s, which I think keep a much tighter seal on the face than the ones you see the hospital staff wear. It's bananas out here, but I think as long as I stay tight and stay away from people for the most part, I can still have a good time and enjoy life. Still laugh, still kiki, have a good time, get some mimosas, get some margaritas and some whiskey, whatever, and kiki. There's nothing that says in life you're required to be around a bunch of people, but still be careful, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta kind of have the same approach to this thing as you would with sex and STIs and STDs and stuff. It's like, you gotta vet people out. You gotta vet people out. Almost like you gotta do like a mini background check. Like, where were you? What kind of, were you at work today? What did person A, person B have? Were they tight or work or whatever? But you gotta draw the line somewhere. Keep a mental health boundary. I do not watch the news. I do not watch the conferences. I do not feel like I require it up to date, up to the second, up to the minute kind of thing. Because that's going to drive you insane. Like, I don't know how my grandmother can watch CNN all day and not laugh. And I know that like she doesn't take any of that stuff to heart. She, for the most part, like most people our age, talk back to the TV like them people can hear. And that's fine. She was doing a lot of that when 45 was president. And I was just like, okay. I mean, we know he's not on the up and up. But the thing about us is that, like, we accept things, we see things for what they are and accept them in the same minute and go on about life. But it was nice, a nice mental health escape from 2020 and 2021 to take a little getaway to a spot that's off, during its off season, which means there's not a whole lot of people around. I mean, it only got a little peoply, like on the streets, closer to like New Year's Eve and maybe New Year's Day. I know Delaware as a whole gets a lot of people coming from like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland. But we were already in the house anyway. So what we do is I always take my little Rachel Ray cookbook and take, the crock pot, and we take, a list for recipes, and we do like a few grocery runs the first couple of days. That way we can limit a lot of outside involvement, outside interaction later on in the week, and actually relax. Do the gift exchange at the place. We don't do the gift exchange there at Christmas. We may do like a couple of gifts, but the official gift exchange for the big boy stuff, we do it at Airbnb. And we do it from the Amazon wish list. I wish y'all had told me about, the power of the Amazon wish list like years ago. Would have saved me so much heartache. Like, instead of guessing and then like pissing people off when you tell them what you do want, it's weird. But it was a good time. Like, to actually relax, not be tied to a time clock, not be tied to a phone call, doing errands for other people, being bothered by some shit all the time. We started watching Abbott Elementary, which the first 2 minutes I was hollering already. Shout out to Quinta, who has come a long way from her little comedy, little skits. A large. Oh, he got money. Get all for him. I love it. First couple of minutes, I was already hollering. I mean, she has Cheryl the Lee Ralph on the show, which is huge to me. Like, we all know that, like, we still blame her for Lauryn Hill being late. That's an inside joke. She has Old Boy from Everybody Hates Chris, which is nice to see him be in a grown-up role. And then she has a couple of other actors I'm not too familiar with, but are really funny. Like, everybody has room to show their character. I holler at the principal though. For that lady to spend all the school stipend on a sign, and she plays the role of the character as somebody that's like intentionally oblivious, but it's comedic. Like, they need books, they need better curriculum, they need better subject matter, and for you to go out and not only spend the money, most of the stipend, on a sign that's not relevant to anything to the school, but more so about you and your presence, but you also spend it, I believe, on getting your hair done. And I holler because, like, I feel like that's relatable to a lot of us that have gone to schools that are, like, outdated, that have no AC, no heat. They still think Christopher Columbus discovered America, and that George Washington saved the country, and that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. And a lot of people just don't get the nuances in between, right? But you notice that like when you were coming up in grade school, how even though you are aware that you don't have these things, you notice little things that the school does have that really is not directly positive to what we need to learn in education. But like, they might upgrade a part of the library, or they might add a new wing to the building. And it's like the big thing was, instead of renovating the main building and actually like adding more rooms, they spent most of the money on trailers to put outside next to the old building. Yeah, that was big when I was growing up. But Abbott Elementary got it going on. I like Shirley Ralph in this character. Really wasn't big with her on Moesha, and really wasn't big on her in Sister Act 2. Like, she was really just trying to like get in the way of Rita's dreams. Singing does not put food on the table. Singing does not pay the bills. Singing does not keep the lights on. Singing, like, I can do that all day, and I can remix it any kind of way. You end up like your father. Your father was chasing a dream. You see where it got him. Mama, do you know how to win? If you talk about singing one more time, yes, ma'am. And I'm every once in a while I would revisit Moesha. I know Twitter was on fire the week that Moesha was put on Netflix. And I agree with most of them that the daddy was a little bit much. Like, he was acting like Moesha was his property. And looking back, like, the pilot was kind of cringy at first. Because it was kind of like, and this goes into a whole nother diatribe about how, we already are aware of how mothers kind of groom their sons to be like their husbands or boyfriends or whatever. And to watch like that first episode of Moesha, you kind of see the same thing but in reverse, where it was like, Frank's wife passed away and Moesha kind of filled in as, I guess, the wife, doing the cooking and the cleaning and doing the laundry. And even to the point to where she was expecting to do it well after Dee had already been in the house. But like on the back end, like later on in the show, he was really tripping, especially around season 3. Like, Moesha was already 16 the first season. Oh no, Brandy was 16 maybe. But by the time she was like 16, 17 years old, Frank was was worse than that. I'm like, this is very much giving me like Joe Jackson, who left the towel in the pool, who gonna get it? I can't. But Abbott Elementary got it going on. I'm gonna watch the next episode probably tonight. Since I missed it last night. There's something about coming back from not only vacation, but just like the New Year change. Like the first day back, I had to take the day off. And then today I just was not with it. I don't know what it is. I know y'all can relate. But I wanted to get up on here and let y'all know the Outfuse podcast is back in full swing. We managed to record for our streaming platforms before Christmas vacation. The next episode that's coming up on streaming is about DL Men. It's called Sexual Discourse Part 1. And I have a special guest on the episode, and we recorded for about 2 hours. Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's the good, the bad, the ugly. We even open up about our own experiences with DL Men. Some married. We knew were married, or we had an idea that they were. Some prominent at the time. But we do that just to kind of navigate through the image that we had in our minds growing up, and the social variables around the element, and the standards that are not placed on them, that are placed on us as far as like health and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that. Be sure to follow and subscribe. We also have a Patreon. I noticed that y'all haven't been over there yet. I think my approach this year is, once the audience grows on here and y'all really start following and, coming over here for entertainments, because we can get a little crazy, that I might start adding more stuff to the Patreon over there. It may not always be the same stuff. It may actually be different than what's on YouTube. It's definitely different than what's on the streaming platforms. But you know what? On my vision board for 2022 is to make I Refuse official. And I know it's going to take a lot of due diligence. Not due diligence, because, child, see, my mind sometimes. It's going to take a lot of diligence, consistency, and a lot of promo. So far, so good. 2021, we've been pretty good with that, the promos, across social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And, the streaming has been around for almost 2 years. Y'all should be getting into that, too. We promote all that everywhere. But, yeah, like, y'all, if y'all haven't heard of us yet, y'all need to be on top. Y'all need to get with the program. Heart goes out to the people that were stranded on 95 a couple days ago. Like, I cut my vacation early by mere hours because there was a snowstorm hitting Delaware. But bitch, had I known that like it was gonna be real bad across Maryland. And it's crazy because, like I said, it was like in the 60s, literally the day before in Maryland. And then to know that like DC, Annapolis, and Baltimore got hammered, slammed, but there was not a lick of snow like west of there. People had lost power. And 95, and I can tell what part of 95 was stranded. It had to be that part of 95 between Tyson's Corner and Fredericksburg. Or, that part where it's like, it just seems like it goes on forever, and there's literally no exit off of that fucker for about 15, 20 miles. Like, if you're on there and something happens, you can't get off of it. There's no shoulder. Like, the walls are closer. Never mind the fact that that's probably the worst part of 95. Outside of 495, that's a whole nother conversation. But, like, if an accident happens, you can't leave. But for people to actually be stuck on 95 for over 12 hours, to the point that like the police are handing out peanut butter sandwiches, like we're in the 6 weeks of basic training, and they would hand out the MREs. Y'all they got to do something about that part of 95. I think that was like the Stafford area, to implement more like off ramps, more roundabouts, that link. Like I give parts of Maryland like a bad rap because it's like parts of Maryland are singular as far as like the roads. Like if you get off of 83, like it'll be a while. 83 above Hunt Valley, it'll be a while before the roads start to link up. Like the further you go out into the sticks or get closer to the sticks, the roads go like this. So Very much the same thing south of DC. Yeah, the worst. But anyway, my heart goes out to them people that was on that damn 95 for over 12 hours and people that lost power. Had a friend of mine that left Maryland to go down to Virginia. I don't know why he insists on going down there. And this whole Panasonic and there's other people in that house, like congested, sick, even further away from Dick because, you know, a lot of people around the Pentagon in that area down there can't host and it's cold as fuck outside. And then on top of that, you lost power. All I'm saying is, if I'm paying $500,000 for a house, and I know that's just the average in the Arlington, Alexandria area, there is no reason I should be without power. Just saying. That's all I got. Ain't got no more. Y'all stay up in 2022. I'm gonna stay my black ass in the house. Stay away from, you know, the whites that look like they don't bathe or brush their teeth or hair, and look like they don't give a fuck. And we will catch y'all later. Peace.